There are 11 candidates running to replace Eastern Washington Congresswoman Cathy McMorris-Rodgers in her District 5 seat. We're taking a look at where the vote stands right now, and Michael Baumgartner is leading right now with 28% of the vote. He's joining us right now here live on Up with KREM in studio. So first of all, we want to say thank you and good morning for joining us this morning here on Up with KREM.
It is a good morning, and it's great to be here with you.
Thank you so much. So of course now you are still leading. We do still have to wait for the votes to be certified. But what's next for your campaign?
Well, we'd like to take a little bit of time off, but what we really need to do now is continue to spread our message of fighting back against reckless spending and inflation, and going out and reaching voters, talking about securing the border, the things we care about the campaign. And it's important as well too that I reach out to the other Republican candidates and their supporters, because while I was the top vote getter, there's still a lot of work I have to do to solidify things going into November. And
of course, one of the things you just mentioned there, inflation, that's a top voter concern right now. As Spokane County Treasurer, I mean, you deal a lot with the money and the finances within the county. How do you expect to take that expertise on then to the national stage?
Yeah, as the treasurer, I see almost every day in my office people that are really, really struggling with inflation and taxes. And so those stories really sit in my heart, and are front of mind when I think about what people are facing. My wife and I, we have 5 kids. So when we go to the grocery store, we see how expensive it is out there, and people are just really struggling.
Mm-hmm. And so, of course, in addition to inflation, another thing is affordable housing and even a rising homelessness crisis. What are some things that you plan on tackling with those two issues specifically?
Well, we need to push back against things the government is doing that makes housing more expensive. A lot of environmental regulation that it's well-intentioned, but it has the second order effect of making things more expensive. Things like when Olympia takes away the right to have natural gas hookups, that makes housing more expensive. So we need to, and what I'll do in Congress is advocate for policies that are reasonable and sensible and make sure that everybody can afford a home.
And so now we just recently had Camilla Conroy, who is currently in second place in the vote now for that seat, of course, for Cathy McMorris-Rodgers' position. One of the things, though, you said was that you feel like you're, of course, the right candidate. Why do you feel like you're the person that voters should get out and vote for in November?
Well, I like Carmela. I think she's a good person. We were both in the State Department. I respect her service to America. And I think she did well as a first-time candidate. But if you look at the difference both in experience, I've done this for 15 years, and the State Senate did things like bring Spokane a new WSU medical school and a completed north-south freeway. But if you look at Carmela's ideas, I just think her ideas about trying to spread Obamacare for everyone, looking at increased tax increases, that's not what Eastern Washington wants, particularly rural Eastern Washington. I'm somebody that grew up in Colton. My father was a forestry professor. I've spent a lot of time in the forest in places like Republic and Colville, and I think I just represent the district better than Carmela does. But it'll be up for the voters to decide, and we'll look forward to going out and making that case.
And what is something else that voters might need, or you feel that voters need to know about you that perhaps that they don't?
Well, I just think that, where I'm known as being a state senator from Spokane, the Spokane County Treasurer, I care about this entire district. Again, grew up down in wheat country in Colton, and, my father was a forestry professor at WSU, but I just feel very comfortable across the entire district. So whether you're a farmer, a business owner in the Spokane Valley, or a logger up in Colville, Mike Baumgartner will be working hard for you.
All right, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate you for waking up early and joining us here on Up with KREM. I can imagine it was a bit of a long night, a bit of a nail-biting night as well. We'll be back with more Up with KREM and more election coverage after this quick break.